Introducing YouTube memberships, a fun way to support the channel while getting some exclusive perks. Click the join button to become a member now and get benefits like badges next to your name on videos, behind-the-scenes photos, advantages during the live trivia game, discounts on merchandise, private one-on-one video chats, the ability to request future video topics, and exclusive 8 to 10 minute videos on the history of the NFL. And now, on with our feature presentation. Nope, we're not done yet. You thought Ron Rivera was only getting one episode of Dumb Decisions for his debacle against the Dallas Cowboys? You thought I was going to go easy on him by just talking about his atrocious clock management? You thought I forgot about this moment? You thought wrong. Rivera gave me a feast of dumb decisions. And in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I'm going to feast, because this was so bad. If you missed the earlier episode, where I talked about his atrocious clock management at the end of the first half, where he just forgot that he had timeouts and opted not to use them, even though he was in a similar dumb spot earlier in the season, and did the same thing, click the card in the upper right corner. Because now, we need to talk about what happened earlier in the first half of that game. I'm not going to talk about the backstory of the game and break down the importance and whatnot, because I did that already. But I will say this much. Ron Rivera was already on thin ice entering this game, and with a loss, especially a loss caused by his own screw-ups and incompetence, his seat would be hotter than the sun. After both teams trade punts on their first drive, with Washington getting into plus territory but having to punt on 4th and 6, thanks to falling behind schedule after a Sam Howell sack for the 300th time this season, and Dallas having to punt after Dak Prescott uncharacteristically missed a wide-open touchdown pass on a fly route to CeeDee Lamb, the Commanders have the ball after back-to-back first downs, and have it at their own 49-yard line. Good spot here. You're driving. One more first down, and you've given yourself a chance at scoring points and taking the early lead. First down, and Howell stays ahead of schedule with a pass to Curtis Samuel for 8 yards. Good start. Now, you just need 2 yards. It's obvious 4-down territory here, so keep that in mind. Second down, and you're throwing. Incomplete pass. Alright, as long as you don't throw the ball on third down, I'm okay with that call. Third down, and oh my god, you're throwing. Incomplete pass. You do realize that you only needed 2 yards on 3 plays, right? Less than a yard per play. Not sure I agree with the strategy there at all, but okay. It's 4th and 2. You're at the 43-yard line. You're not punting here, and you're not kicking a field goal from 61 yards out this early. Time to go for it. So let's see what the Commanders have drawn up. Come on, Rivera. Let's see what you got. You're punting the football. But why? Why would you punt here? You had it in plus territory in a short yardage situation. A first down, you can try a field goal and get points. You're telling me you call no running plays, and then you're punting in a spot where no other coach in their right mind would punt? For what reason are you doing this? Why are you punting the football? Why are you punting the football?
It's 4th and 2. No, they're going to boot it away.
Surprised they didn't go for that.
I am too. Tress way. Back to Turpin. And another fair catch.
Well, that was dumb. Just out of curiosity. Did the field position mean anything at all? I doubt it. I know it's not going to work, but let me just confirm my suspicions.
2nd and 10 from the 16. Dowdle gets the screen pass. Down into the end zone.
Thought so. Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something to look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something to look awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're taking a look at the mind of Washington Commanders head coach Ron Rivera. Again. I wasn't kidding in the last video when I said that Ron Rivera coached one of the worst games I've ever seen in my life, and that there were about 6 or 7 decisions that he made in this game alone that deserved to be scrutinized and criticized for just how awful they were. And this one right here was up there. Riverboat Ron is the least aggressive, most conservative coach in all of football in all the worst ways. And if we didn't know that before from the past decade of evidence as a head coach in this league, and if we didn't know that from this season with the highly controversial, and in my mind, completely wrong decision to not go for 2 at the very end of the game against the Philadelphia Eagles, we know that now. Because there is no justification for this punt on 4th and 2 when you're in opposing territory at the 43-yard line. At the very least, not with everything that led up to it. So with that being said, let's take a look at why calling a punt on 4th and 2 at the 43-yard line instead of going for it is a really bad idea. Now, you might be saying that the obvious thing as to why you punt the ball here is because you want to play the battle of field position. That's the number one argument, because the risk is that if you go for it and it fails, the Cowboys have the ball near midfield. And if you punt the ball, the Cowboys still have to drive down the field to do anything. However, here's why that doesn't add up. Aside from the fact that your defense is the literal worst in football in terms of points per game allowed, and is going up against the second best offense in football. An offense that torched you on their last drive like you've been getting torched all season, if not for the fact that Prescott missed a wide open touchdown pass. I think we can reasonably assume that if you're punting at the 43, the punt is going to be fielded at the 10. A touchback is bad and getting it inside the 5 is great, but on average, you're giving it back to the Cowboys at the 10-yard line. Now, let's say that your defense actually plays lights out and forces a 3 and out. Considering you have the worst defense in football and allowed 31 to Tommy DeVito and the freaking New York Giants last week, I doubt you can do it, but I'll play pretend. I'll indulge in your fantasy. You force a 3 and out where the Cowboys get no yards, and it's 4th and 10, and they're punting at their own 10-yard line. The punter on the other side for the Cowboys is Brian Anger, as in one of the best punters in football. He was a former 3rd-round pick for a reason. Granted, that reason was because Jaguars general manager Gene Smith was an idiot, but still, the man can punt his butt off, and is going to make the Pro Bowl this season, and rightfully so. He's averaging a whopping 45.8 net yards per punt this year, which is one of the highest averages in football, and he would probably have more net yards here since net can be somewhat misleading. A 39-yard net punt is not good on the surface, but if you're punting at the 40, it's amazing. In all likelihood, the inevitable punt will go 50 or 55 yards. But again, I'll indulge and say it's going to go its net average of 46 yards. Do the math, and a punt at the 10-yard line with a net of 46 yards means that you get the ball at your own 44-yard line. That means that when you start this next drive, you have 3 plays to get 10 yards from your own 44-yard line, needing to average 3.3 yards per play. Compare that to where you were right now, which is, oh yeah, at Dallas's 43-yard line, needing to pick up 2 yards. So even if you want to make the field position argument, it doesn't add up. Because even in, quite literally, the best case scenario with a good punt and a 3 and out, you are still in a worse spot or in a worse position field-wise and have a worse chance to score on the drive than you do at this very moment. All while the Cowboys still need some first downs if you do get stuffed to even have a chance at scoring themselves. And again, we're not talking about 4th and 6 or something like that. It's 4th and 2. Every other coach is going for it in that spot. And it makes sense why. Because the field position battle, as we just saw, means absolutely nothing. Heck, the Cowboys get 1 first down, and the field position argument becomes completely and utterly moot. If you get a first down, barring a loss of yardage on the next 3-down sequence or an obvious turnover, you're guaranteed to, at the very least, try a field goal. You're guaranteed a shot at points. Sure, giving away bad field position if you don't get the first down stinks. But is the 30 yards of field position on a punt that you would gain otherwise really worth it in the risk-reward analysis? The risk in both scenarios is that you end up allowing a touchdown on the next drives of the Cowboys, with one being somewhat harder for them. The reward in the punt scenario is that you'll get the ball back with a stop at your own 40-yard line, needing to average 3.3 yards per play to move the chains, while the reward in the go-for-it scenario, needing to pick up 2 yards, is that you'll get a first down and have a guaranteed shot at points. And again, that 3.3 yards per play, stop at the 40-yard line and whatnot, that's the best case scenario. It's not going to play out that way in all likelihood, so it is not hard. I don't know what sort of math or calculation that Ron Rivera was doing here, but it very clearly was not the right one, because nothing adds up. And this doesn't even bring up the obvious part of how we got to this point. Because it's not as though the Commanders had 2nd and 10, and then 3rd and 10, and then 4th and 2. They had 2nd and 2. They had the ball in plus territory, needing 2 yards to get the first down. And they opted, with an offensive line that has just about gotten Sam Howell killed, and with an offensive line that Sam Howell is not very thankful for this holiday season, to go pass, punt? How does that make sense? On your 4 runs so far in this game with Brian Robinson, who's having a very quietly solid season, you've gotten positive yardage on all 4 of them, and picked up 16 yards. Small sample size, admittedly, but you need just 2 yards on 3 plays with a running back that has gotten yards on every play, and where you can go quarterback sneak. You need to average, in plus territory, less than 1 yard per play. That's what it comes down to. Over the course of this 3-play sequence, in obvious go-for-it territory, you need to pick up 2 feet per play. And you decide to not only hinder yourself by eliminating 1 play because you're punting it, thereby increasing the average that you need to get the first down, but you decide to try throwing the football twice? I'm not saying that a run strategy would be successful, but you're telling me you're not going to run it even once? You saw this field position, saw how many yards you need to get, and said, let's throw twice, and then punt if we don't get it, even though our running game has been fine so far? How did you arrive at that conclusion? So let me just make sure I have this right with this idiotic punt. You call 2 plays where you have to get the first down or else you're screwed, since you can't get yards on a pass that falls incomplete. And you do this behind a porous offensive line and pass protection. You don't try a single running play, even though the running game has been fine and has gotten yards on every play. And then, you decide, once that is unsuccessful, to punt the ball away and play for field position, even though the field position becomes irrelevant if the Cowboys get 1 first down. And if for some reason, your defense magically becomes the 85 Bears and forces a 3 and out, you're still getting the ball back with worse field position and needing more yards per play than you would have needed otherwise. There is quite literally no benefit to punting the football here. I can't think of any. I'm not saying there's never a bad time to punt the ball here. If there's 15 seconds left in the game and you're winning by 2 points, then yes, punt the ball. You'd actually be an idiot to go for it there. But in the freaking first quarter, with this situation, considering everything we know, someone explain this to me, man, because Ron Rivera is making my head hurt with all of his stupidity, not just in this game, but in this entire freaking season. I give up. I talked about Ron Rivera's awful clock management at the end of the first half, and I've talked about this decision with the punt on 4th and 2 in plus territory. But there were so many other decisions that he had in this game that just baffled my mind. This game truly was a myriad of dumb decisions. Usually, I criticize reporters when they don't ask questions in the post-game press conference about decisions like this that change the tone of the game. But I can't even do that here because there were like 6 or 7 decisions that Ron Rivera made in this game that made no sense at all. A reporter asked you to talk about the 4th down decision. Which one? There were like 5 of them. It was so bad. 3 years ago, the Cowboys played the Commanders on Thanksgiving. And I said that Mike McCarthy had the worst coach Thanksgiving game of all time. You can learn more about that by clicking the card in the upper right corner. And now, 3 years later, Ron Rivera manages to one-up him and maybe gets fired in the process. Good job, Ron. You really outdid yourself here. So what do we learn from all of this? If you have the ball in the short yard situation and you are in opposing territory, or even if you get stuffed, the opposition needs to get multiple first downs to even have a shot at scoring, then go for it. If you need 2 yards in 3 plays, then assuming the clock is not an issue or a factor, and it wouldn't be here, then to call nothing but passing plays is absolutely moronic. If you're punting the ball away to try and win the field position battle, but you can't even win the field position battle in the absolute best case and most optimistic and ideal scenario, then don't punt the football. Reevaluate your philosophy and whether you think this is genuinely the right idea. because I have an idea that it will not be. And if your name is Ron Rivera, whatever your brain is telling you to do, just don't do that. Be like Costanza that one episode of Seinfeld. Do the opposite of what you're thinking. You'll do better than whatever the heck you're doing right now. Because right now, you are on a one-way path to the unemployment line, where I think most Commander fans would take 77-year-old Dolly Parton masquerading as a Queen cover act as their head coach over you. Because when all these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Get your official Jaguar Gear 9 merchandise by going to jj9shop.com, and be sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out a lot. Join me every Wednesday night where we'll play NFL Trivia for cash prizes at 9 p.m. Eastern over on Twitch. To learn more about the history of college football, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 8. To learn more about the history of Major League Baseball, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 7. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.